In all the years that I've been shooting, working with my girls, and a lot of new shooters, there are 3 common mistakes that I've seen that make it very difficult for people to get into the sport. It kind of shies them away from it. And I'm here today to show you what those mistakes are, how to correct them. The number one by far is proper form. All right, so Maddie, before we put anything in the gun, it's completely empty. So go ahead and look through the scope right now and get comfortable. And we can move the seat, we can move the rest up and down. And we're going to be shooting at the white gong. Is there any change in the position we need to make of the gun?
Move this way a little bit.
Okay. Now, how was your eye relief?
Good.
Okay. So here's, when I say shooting form, a lot of the times the mistakes that I see people make is they use too high magnification. So this loophole scope here goes from 3 to 15 power. So if we turn this to 15 power, now look through the scope, Maddie.
Okay. Yeah, a lot closer.
Now you see her head moving back and forth. The eye relief is a lot more critical. The field of view is smaller. What I would recommend, if it's a brand new shooter, go all the way to 3 power. Now, Maddie being skilled in shooting, maybe not a perfect marksman, but very good behind the trigger. We're going to run at about 6 power. And so the proper height, so if you can see here, she's very comfortable. She's not squinching over the gun. She's relaxed. And obviously the recoil of the gun is going to go back into her shoulder. If the gun's sitting too low or too high, so if we were to take this bag away, and go ahead, Maddie, get behind the gun, and see now if it's too low and she's resting off of her elbow, it's just not a comfortable situation. You want the rest to be perfectly placed. So look at the back of the stock here, how it goes up and slides down. So to raise or lower the gun, the barrel, you slide this back and forth. And that's why having a good front rest and a good rear rest is very important. The other nice thing when you get somebody into a sport like this is shooting encore is single shot. So that way Maddie knows there's only one round in the chamber. It's not semi-automatic, you're not working a bolt, and it has an automatic safety. So the gun is not able to be fired until she cocks the gun. So from a safety aspect, it's a great way to get somebody into the sport. So you feel good with your position, you're on target,
yep.
Everything? All right, so we've just corrected mistake number 1, which is poor form. So we'll go ahead and have Maddie shoot shot down range, get the feedback on that, and then we'll tell you how to correct mistake number 2. Now I will tell you, if you're getting a new shooter into a sport, please do not shoot a big caliber gun. I know it could be really fun. Watch somebody shoot a big 12 gauge shotgun right the first time and the recoil. There's not a lot of fun for that. It's like a loud noise when you're trying to train a bird dog for the first time. If you spook the person and they feel the recoil, you know, it's not enjoyable. So here, 22-250, a 223 is a good round. I tend not to have new shooters shoot a 22. And the reason for that is, even though they're really enjoyable, a lot of times they're smaller frame guns and they don't fit you very well. Unless it's a full-size 22, I'd prefer 223, 22-250 to start. So we'll put her eyes and her ears on, and she can throw that in the chamber, and we'll take her for a shot. So we'll break the gun open. Go ahead and put that in the chamber. All right, now the gun is hot. So once you feel you're on target, then you can cock the hammer and then squeeze the trigger when ready. Yep, see how she adjusted the bag towards the back to raise that? We can also lower the front if she needs to. Does that feel comfortable?
Feels good.
All right, so you just cock the hammer when you're ready with your thumb. There you go. And then just slowly squeeze the trigger. Excellent shot. So great first shot. As you could tell, she had a stable platform. She did the right thing when she got on the target. She moved the bag to the rear because you want the gun to rest in the bags. You don't want to be fighting that. A lot of people, what they do is they'll take the bag away and there's no rear support. So if you want to shoot accurately, you want to be stable in the front and the back. And then obviously the eye relief was good. You weren't looking for the target. And you know, she hit the spinner target at 50 yards right off the bat. So we'll go ahead and take this empty out. So the gun's empty here. And what I want you to do now, Maddie, is I just want you to, actually, I tell you what we're going to do. So, empty casing, okay? All we're going to use that to do is protect the firing pin. What I want you to do is just cock the hammer, aim at the target, and then squeeze the trigger. And I want you to do that a few times to just get comfortable on how the gun feels and how stiff the trigger is. Now we're getting into mistake number 2, and that is people who want to anticipate the shot and then they squeeze the trigger really fast. So we're not trying to squeeze this like a shotgun. We're not tracking something through the air and we're slapping the trigger. So we want crosshairs on the target, breathe, exhale, pause, squeeze the trigger. So go ahead and cock the hammer when you're ready, when you feel you're on the target, and then we'll go ahead and squeeze this off. So you notice she didn't jump, she didn't anticipate the shot. Now go ahead and do that a couple more times. There you go. So when you're squeezing the trigger, now the trigger placement is really critical. So this first line in your hand, in general, should line up with this edge of the trigger. So you don't want your finger here all the way out, and you don't want it wrapped around like this. You want it kind of right just past the pad right there, so that way you have good pressure and you have good sensitivity. The most two sensitive part on your hand is your thumb and your forefinger right here. So you want that sensitivity so you can feel the trigger. And the more she dry fires, the more she gets comfortable with how the trigger breaks. So this trigger is set at about 3 pounds. So go ahead and shoot again. So now I can just tell the 3 or 4 times that she's done it. Now she knows when that gun's going to break. So dry firing the gun is so critical to get used to your gun, and then just that feeling like, okay, nothing bad's going to happen, right?
Yep.
I feel comfortable with keeping the reticle on the crosshair when I squeeze the trigger. So mistake number 2 is anticipating the shot and slapping the trigger or jerking the trigger, and we don't want that. So let's shoot another one, Maddie.
Okay.
And now that you're a little bit more comfortable with how the trigger pull is, I am confident that you're going to hit the center of the spinner target. All right, so go ahead and get comfortable, get centered. And then once you feel you're on the target, you can cock the hammer. And again, good trigger placement, and just squeeze. Don't anticipate the shot. Absolutely perfect. Now, did that feel any different from your first shot?
Felt good.
Yeah. The more she shoots, the more she gets comfortable with this particular gun. And anytime that you're training a new shooter, it's good to have the same gun over and over. So this way she understands the trigger, how the gun feels, how the gun recoils, and it's just that repetition. You know, growing up, what sports did you play growing up?
Hockey and lacrosse.
Hockey and lacrosse, right? Mm-hmm. And so you probably knew how your stick fell.
Yeah.
Right? So when you picked it up and how your skates felt, so I'm sure the more you played, the more it became natural to you.
Definitely.
Yep. So any sport is the same way. It's that muscle memory, it's that repetition. Shooting is identical to that. It's not something that you just go to the range once or twice a year. You want to do it on a regular basis. And what's nice is guns like the Encore here, especially small calibers, are not intimidating to shoot. And you don't have any problem with the recoil, no pain in the shoulder. Okay, mistake number 1 is poor form. We corrected that. Mistake number 2 was trigger pull. Mistake number 3, this is a little bit different, is not having fun.
True.
Right? We're out here to have fun. And a lot of times when you're working with shooters, especially younger shooters, their attention span might not be the biggest, right?
No.
So now shooting at targets, so we have a spinner target down here that gives Maddie instant feedback. Did I hit the target or did I not hit the target? And if we were just shooting at a bullseye, it'd be kind of boring.
Yeah.
Right? All you're doing is putting holes in a paper, and then you're trying to figure out, did I hit to the left, did I hit to the right? So now, this spinner target has 2. Which one were you aiming at before?
The bottom.
The big one?
Yes.
All right, think you can hit the top one?
Definitely.
All right, let's try to hit the top one.
Okay.
If you're gonna have a shooter who really enjoys the sport, you want them to come out. And there's lots of games that we've played with the kids growing up. Spinner targets, we have dueling trees. Those are so fun to get two girls side by side. And there'll be 4 plates, and you put 2 on each side. And then they have to get all 4 to one side before the other person can put all 4. So if they hit one over, you hit one back, and you go back and forth and back and forth. So that's a fun game to play. Clay targets, remember putting those up? Mm-hmm. You put those on the back, and then you shoot them, you crack them, then you break all the little pieces. That's a lot of fun to play. Another fun game is take playing cards. And you just take your staple gun, and you put them up with you face down, and basically you can play poker, you can see who has the highest hand, you can shoot for ice cream, you put balloons up at farther yardages. So there's a lot of different ways that you can create an interactive, fun environment for a shooter. Absolutely dead center. Well, I'd like to say that the instructor was really good in this case. But obviously, Maddie being an athlete really helps. She has great motor skills. She's been through hunter safety. She's had, some skills, some time behind the trigger. But it's like anything, just that practice is just going to keep making it more enjoyable. Now, this is 50 yards. If we wanted to add to the challenge, we could go to 100, 150, and this is where different skill sets come in. But when we corrected now the 3 major mistakes that I typically see with new shooters. It's the form, by having an improper gun fit, you don't have a good rest situation, they don't understand eye relief with their scope, the trigger pull is so critical, whether it's with a gun, archery equipment, or even playing hockey or lacrosse, right? Yeah. Your form is super critical. And then the third being, make it fun so they want to keep doing it and build those motor skills. So we're going to keep shooting now. We still have 3 more shots and another box of ammunition. So we're going to practice what we preach and go home with no ammunition today. Yeah, follow through is pretty important because you think that the bullet goes down the barrel really quickly. But that little bit of movement when you squeeze the trigger and anticipate it and you come off of it, it changes where it recoils on your shoulder and you can move things around. Okay. That was a fantastic shot.